Hello, this is Carson Cook, your CSO Pro, and welcome to the channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss any of our future uploads. Enjoy the video.
All right, guys, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are out there. Again, my name is Carson Cook, your CSO Pro, and today we're going to be talking about a very fun topic. I got a lot of requests on how to how to deal with this objection, guys. Today we're going to be talking about an objection, and it's very, very common in every single sales industry, and that is when your client says, I have to think about it. Okay, so give me some time. Don't be pushy. I have to think about it. I have to outweigh the barrier, this and that. I really have to get it through my head and I have to think about it. Unfortunately for you as a sales professional, that is a killer objection, because at the end of the day, when they think about it, that's postponing your commission, which is postponing your paycheck. And our deal as sales professionals is to get as many deals closed as fast as possible. So it's very important to understand, guys, how can you get over this objection? When your customer says, you know what, Carson, I really, I like you, it's this great product, I think we're gonna do it, but I have to think about it, okay? Now, how do we overcome that objection? Not necessarily overcome it, but how do you meet your customers' concerns and make them feel comfortable with making that decision right now? And we're gonna talk about 3 different things today, guys, that are gonna help you overcome that objection. The first one is going to be to understand why the customer would say this. Okay, to honestly inside your brain, think of why the customer would say, why would they say I have to think about it? There's various reasons. We'll talk about that. The second thing we're going to talk about is ask, explain. Okay, ways to overcome this. Okay, so how do you give your answer to that objection? Well, first off, you need to ask and you need to explain. Then the third thing that we're going to talk about is a story, and we're going to leave this video with a story. One that's a sales story that helps a lot, and it's something that you can kind of progress and tell your clients to kind of help them understand why they don't necessarily need to think about it, or you might not be getting all the correct information. So the first one is to understand why the customer says what they say. Why does the customer tell you, hey, I have to think about it? Well, there's 3 main reasons. The first reason, okay, is going to be because they've been burned before in the past on a quick decision. Okay, so they're basing their previous experience, their previous objective, on their previous action on a negative outcome. So they made a decision quickly before in the past and it didn't work out so hot. Now you can explain to your customer saying, hey, it's just like a multiple choice test. If you second guess yourself on a multiple choice test, there's been studies to show that, you pick C and you think, no, it might be A, no, it could be C. You know what, I'm just gonna go with B. C was actually more likely the correct answer. So making a decision the first time right off the bat is not necessarily a bad thing. So tell me, why did you get burned before in the past? The second reason why the customer might say this, and understanding why the customer says, I have to think about it, is you didn't do your job. Now, as a sales professional, your job is to meet every concern in that interaction, and every possible way the customer could find a way not to buy, right? They could find a way or make an excuse, and you've displayed all of that. So what you haven't done is you haven't explored every opportunity for that customer, and you need to make sure you do it correct. Then that way, when they come to that, they really don't have much more to think about. Every concern has been asked, every question has been done. You've pretty much covered everything. So what would there be to think about? It's that first thing where I just don't make decisions on the first day, no matter what it is. That's easily overcome. The second thing is, guys, is the value is not worth the reward. So the third thing in understanding why a customer might say this, you didn't do your job in presenting enough value. They're not stimulated enough. They're not having a good time. They're like, I really have to think about it because I don't necessarily want it. Maybe it's not for them. Maybe the product's not for them, right? So those are the 3 reasons why, guys, you need to understand why the customer would say this. Now, how would we get over this then? Okay, how do we fix this objection? The number 2 thing we're going to talk about today is ask and explain. We need to make sure, guys, that when we're talking with our customer, okay, you need to make sure that you ask the right way. You can't just say, well, what do you need to think about? Because that could be rude or intrusive or pushy. Okay, when a customer says you're being a little too pushy, means that they're not thinking of making a decision because they've done this process before. So you need to explore what went wrong in the past process or the past buying experience they had and figure out why yours is different, right? But you need to ask why, then explain why you asked. Now, when you ask a customer saying, hey, well, I have to think about it. I got to think about it overnight. I got to talk with my wife. I'll call you back, that kind of stuff. And you say, well, let me ask you, what is there to think about? You need to explain why you just asked that. Because they might take that as an offensive statement. Well, Mr. Merchant, I'm not trying to seem pushy. The only reason that I'm asking is when you think you need to think about it, I don't personally think that you should think about it. You should do this right now. This is a deal of a lifetime. It's going to really help you. But the issue is that when my customer says they have to think about it, usually it's because I didn't do my job. I didn't explain things the right way. You still have some concerns. You still have some questions. let me cover those right now while it's still fresh. We're in this process. I've displayed the product. Tell me right now. So that's why I'm asking you, why do you have to think about it? Is there something that I didn't do right? Put it back on you, okay? So ask and explain before you come over that objection. Then the third thing is, guys, is it always helps to tell a story. Okay, one of the stories that I used to use when I was selling credit card processing, we still use this story every single day, is one that we used to use in the car dealership, one we used to use in the personal training studio, and it was called the be-back bus. So Mr. Customer, when most of the decisions that I've met with my client, every time I display this product, they absolutely love this product. And usually they make a decision on that day. They love it. They want to go with the product. They see the benefit for you. They see the benefit for the business, and there's really nothing that they have to think about. So usually when I hear a customer say, hey, I'm going to call you back, or I really have to think about it, it reminds me of a story from when I used to run a personal training studio. And we used to have this big paper mache bus that we had up on the wall, and we called it the be-back bus. And as I'm explaining this to the client, I'm wanting them to get engaged. And I said, well, at the time, I was selling personal training packages to people that really needed it. They were overweight, they were diabetic, they were on medication, and this could save their life, okay? And it's something to where they need assistance, okay? Instead of wasting their time and wasting their effort, and they need motivation, okay? So it's a good product. It needs to be sold to these people. It's not something where we're selling something where it shouldn't be sold. Now, when I told this story, I would say that I would take someone through a personal training session. We would explain everything. We'd sit them down and we'd tell them the price. Obviously, we'd negotiate on the price, and they'd say, you know what, I have to think about it. I'll call you back. I have to go talk with my husband. I have to go talk with my partner. This is a product for you. These are your personal training sessions. So let me do this. What I'll do is I'll write your name up on that be-back bus. Okay, so you said you're gonna be back, and you said you had to think about it, and I'm gonna write your name up there, and as soon as you come back in and make a change in your life, I'll go ahead and cross your name off that bus. And then I would point to that bus, and there's over 200 names on that bus, and guess how many names were crossed off? 2. So with my clients, it doesn't really work out when they say I have to think about it, because they start making their own objections or issues with the product when you can clearly see right now, client, that this is the product for you. I've displayed every benefit to you. You don't really need to think about it. It might be the fear of making a quick decision. Let me put some stuff in to make it a little bit easier for you to make that decision right now. Okay, what can I do? Tell me a little bit more. So when you say that you're going to call me back, or you have to think about it, when there's 2 names crossed off that bus, it's really difficult for me to believe my clients. And I say that. I say it's too difficult for me to believe my clients that I know that we're going to make a real positive difference, because the more you think about it, the more you're going to talk yourself out of it. Okay, so telling a story is a great way around that objection. So thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. That's how you get out of that objection, guys, or that's how you meet your way around it, is you do your job better, you explain more, and your customer doesn't have to think about it. If you've done your job right, they're going to sign with you today. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll talk to you soon.